Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. This is your brother Nafis Abu Zayd.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Isa Abu Isa, and again, this is another episode of The Night Shift. And we, like he said, we came with this program, me and my brother Abu Zayd, my companion, to fight against cult characteristics, haddadiyya extremism, and tabdi' and refuting, calling people innovators, and also against partisanship, hizbiyya.
No. Tayyib, alhamdulillah, today or tonight on the night shift, inshallah, as our brother said, we would like to address and let all of the audience hear the criticism of our brother Mustafa George and his inadequate refutation, and inshallah ta'ala of Shaykh Tahir Wyatt, حفظه الله. This was the response that was done after the interview that we conducted here at the Mektaba with our brother Shadeed Muhammad. This was the response of Mustafa George.
حفظه الله.
Shadeed Muhammad recently, when an individual spoke about, and that individual is Tahir Wyatt, and Tahir Wyatt spoke about, scholars and the fact that we need to acknowledge the scholarship of our own. And Tahir Wyatt wasn't talking about blacks, he was talking about Americans who've gone abroad to study, American students of knowledge gone abroad to study, and the likes. We need to acknowledge their scholarship and the likes of that. Anyway, when that came out, Shadeed Muhammad retweeted, and he promoted it, and he said, when we, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember the exact statement, but when we continue to see scholars through the eyes of individuals who don't look like us, meaning black, Shadeed Muhammad, my dear brothers, is calling to racism and bigotry in Islam. He's calling to that. Because somebody might say, okay, if he's saying that the black people the black Muslims need to do more and need more established, we don't have any problems with that. But when he starts saying statements like, when we continue to view scholars from the eyeglasses or the spectacles of individuals who do not look like us, this is a problem, my dear brothers. This is a problem. This is bigotry in Islam. This is racism in Islam. Because you're starting to say that, we should be the ones, the black Americans, the black American Muslims should be the ones to acknowledge our scholars, not the scholars. Not the scholars of Saudi Arabia. This is racism in Islam. Okay? So Shadeed Muhammad, and I'm sure, Allah knows best, that you brothers would not go to a lecture by Farrakhan. I'm sure, I believe that you brothers will not go to a lecture by Farrakhan. Likewise, I believe that recently, let's say the last year or two, that you brothers would also not go to a lecture by Shadeed. Because you see that what he's calling to is foreign. Him doing television shows and social media with women, with makeup, this is all, brothers, we know that this is haram. We know that this is haram. This is not pleasing to Allah nor His Messenger. As Allah says, وَلَا تَبَرُّجْ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ الْأُولَى. Allah says the women should not display themselves like the times of ignorance. Shadeed Muhammad doing television shows with women who are exposed with makeup and hair and lipstick and jewelry, right? And him retweeting these type of women, and the pictures are on his website, and the flyers, the lectures with flyers with these women on their websites, makeup and jewelry and lipstick. This is evil, my dear brothers. So I would like to believe that you guys wouldn't go to a lecture of Shadeed Muhammad. Okay, now let's take it back to the principle that we first said. An individual is upon the religion of his companions. Okay, an individual is upon the religion of his companions. Shadeed praises, promotes, and defends Tahir Wyatt. He praises Tahir Wyatt, he promotes Tahir Wyatt, he defends Tahir Wyatt. And so does Farrakhan. Farrakhan praises him. He thanked him, he praised him. Shadeed retweeted that. He retweets other statements from Farrakhan. Now let's get to Tahir Wyatt. Has Tahir Wyatt, has he freed himself of Farrakhan or Shadeed? These are individuals that are praising you. Shadeed is promoting you. Shadeed is the...
Brothers and sisters, in this response here, he asked the question, he made a principle that, the principle that he mentioned is that a person is upon the deen of his friend. We all know the well-known hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that the individual al-mar'u ala dini khalilihi, that a person is upon the religion of his friend. However, most of the stuff that he said about Shaykh Muhammad, this is not the video where we're going to address that specifically head on. But our beloved brother, alhamdulillah, Abu Ali of the White Battle, حفظه الله, has provided us with a response to this particular principle, misguided principle of criticism that our brother Mustafa George, may Allah preserve him, have leveled against Tahir Wyatt. And that principle, as our beloved brother Abu Ali has said, praise be to Allah who has allowed our Salaf to leave in their books the principles of for verdicts and reasons for criticism. Our brother Mustafa George has invented a new principle in the religion on his voice recording when he said Farrakhan praised and thanked Tahir, and Tahir hasn't freed themselves from these individuals. So this is the principle. He's basically leveling a criticism against Shaykh Tahir, حفظه الله, because he was praised by Farrakhan. And in his mind, Mustafa George said because Tahir did not free himself from Farrakhan, in terms his not freeing or dissociating himself is being or agreements upon what Farrakhan is upon.
Basically, his silence affirms that he's with Farrakhan.
This is what he wants us to believe. So our brother said the propaganda only increases amongst them. The guilty by association fallacy requires evidence, and since none really exists, Mustafa has introduced or invented the rule that if a disbeliever praises you, then you must free yourself from him, otherwise he's considered your friend. This is very important. This is very important. Because now let's go back to the talk that we had before from Sheikh Khalid about ilhaq biduni dawabit, about aligning individuals with others, aligning your minhaj with others without any guidelines. And we see here that this brother had not any of the guidelines of the Salaf to actually align him with it. Pay attention. This principle is false based on the principle Ibn Rajab mentioned in his book called Al-Qawa'id. Rule number 2. He mentioned in his book under the head, rule number 2, that the hair of an animal takes a separate ruling and not the ruling of the animal is connected to. Bear with us. This is a little bit technical here.
We're going to break it
down. A little bit lofty, but it's going to get breaking down. He said, for example, a pig and a dog is both impure. Okay? But their hair isn't najis. Okay? Likewise, the fingernails are included in this. So if a man touch a woman's hair or fingernails, then his wudu is still intact. Now, where are we going at with this? Farrakhan from the NOI praised Tahir and thanked him. So how can it be required for him to be considered a deviant until he frees himself, given the fact that they both come from two separate theologies, which aren't connected? And if a ruling of a dog's hair on a dog is separate, how can two separate parties be connected here?
No.
So basically,
it's like, for example, right? To make it in layman terms, like this phone, right? Things that's connected to this phone, it's actually part of this phone, right? But this cover is not part of the phone, even though it's on the phone. It wouldn't take this ruling as a phone. It's the cover of the phone. Just like if you had a dog, the dog itself is impure. But the hair of the dog, which is connected to the dog, doesn't take the same ruling as the dog. So how can you come now and say, and take two things that are even connected in any way, or not the same in any way, and then say they're the same?
So he continues. He says, this ruling is known as Sha'r al-Hayawan fi hukm al-munfasil anhu la fi hukm al-muttasil. The animal's hair takes a separate ruling and not the ruling of the animal is connected with. This is very important, brothers and sisters, because this is how detailed the deen of Allah is. And if the deen of Allah is this detailed, how much more so is the criticism that is levied against those who go against or oppose the deen of Allah? Because in the Quran, Allah Jalla wa Ala, He refutes the Jews and the Christians, whereas they cannot raise their head with any type of response whatsoever. Detail. Allah Jalla wa Ala also refutes the Mushrikun in Surah Al-An'am in detail. This is how Allah Jalla wa Ala handled things. So if that's the case, that we got rulings like this, that the animal's hair takes a separate ruling and not the ruling of the animal it's connected to. Henceforth, my hair, even though it's connected to me, don't take the same ruling of me. This is something, that is detailed. Mustafa George principle, according to him, that is if a kafir or an innovator praises you, then you must free yourself from the praise, otherwise you are suspect. So, Leo Tolstoy praised Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If anyone don't know, this is, as well as Michael Hart, who noted him from amongst the most influential leaders. So these are two non-believers who praises the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, and they have made commentaries in their works, and they praise the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, noted him among the most influential leaders. Based on Mustafa George's introduced or innovative rule, we must now free ourselves from our Prophet. Abu Ghuda, a known innovator who died in Riyadh, and As-Subuni, an innovator who died in Mecca. Both lived during the time of Imam bin Baz and Imam Uthaymeen. Ironically, nothing is recorded that they require Ahlul Sunnah of those districts to free themselves of those two innovators. So where did Mustafa George get this principle? That's number one. Okay, let's move to number two, which makes it even more clear. Now, the second principle. Mustafa George has invented a new principle in the religion of his voice recording when he said Farrakhan praise. We mentioned that. There is a principle in fiqh known La Yun Sub Lisakit Code. And this is where it's going to make sense, brothers and sisters. Look at this point. The person silent can't be spoken for or on his behalf. Plainly, put a person who is silent about something can't be blamed or praised. So when a person doesn't say anything, he doesn't respond, you can't blame him, nor can you praise him.
Exactly.
You can't blame him, nor can you praise him. He continues. He said, the scholars of the Maliki jurisprudence of fiqh, they say, as-sukut hal huwa iqrarun am la. So they have asked the question, is the silence a confession or not? This rules mean to the fuqaha that silence is only an approval for the things the Sharia has legislated, like the proposal of a virgin, which is understood. A divorced woman or a widow must say yes. So when a bikr, when she mentioned to her wali, meaning she don't say nothing out of her mouth, but her silence is a sign of her acceptance, and because this is legislated in the Sharia, that's basically what he's saying.
And the thing about it, I know some people misunderstand this. They say silent approval, right? In the Kufar culture, that may be correct. But what Allah sent down, silent approval is not accepted for everything in Islam. Only for specific things that Allah legislated that they're accepted for. Silent approval is not accepted for everything in Islam.
طيب. So he continues. He said, this principle means in Arabic, and it's kind of lofty here, but we're going to say that the origin, the translated version of this, the origin is a verdict or business dealing, or anything else can't go in effect based on the silence. Reason being, a person remaining silent doesn't establish proof that he agrees or disagrees. Sometimes a person is silent about something he dislikes while he rejects it. While he rejects it. As it comes in Sahih Bukhari in the Book of Knowledge, the Prophet ﷺ said, when the people of the book come to you about anything, do not reject it nor accept it. Because perhaps if you reject it, you reject something that confirms with the truth. And perhaps if you accept it, you accept something that do not confirm with the truth. In other words, the Prophet ﷺ saying, do what? Tawakuf. Be silent.
Yeah. So you saying if I be silent about something that's in the Bible, that means I accept it as the truth?
La. Here the Prophet ﷺ telling you not to reject it nor accept it.
Exactly.
Okay? But he's telling you to be silent. That don't mean you have to, at the same time, that you now have aligned yourself with the Nasaras.
Exactly. It doesn't.
Or with the Yahud. La. So, sometimes a person is silent about something he dislikes while he rejects it. This can be found in the book called Musaw'atul Qawa'id, page 43. So again, Mustafa George states Tahir needs to free himself from Farrakhan, since he praised him and thanked him. This went to the people's mind that Tahir accepts Farrakhan. That's what Mustafa George was painting the pictures in the mind of the lay people, or let's say the common folks. He wants us to believe, because Tahir did not come out openly or publicly and turn down or free himself from Farrakhan's praise, and somehow mean he agree, right, with what Farrakhan is upon.
And the funny part is, when does that principle he using stop? For example, we have a store. The Muslims have stores on this avenue here. And alhamdulillah, most of us seem to do good business in the neighborhood. In the Kufar, in this particular part of the city, Kensington, which we call Gotham City, but the name is Kensington. Most of the Kufar in the neighborhood, they respect the master, they respect the Muslims who are religious, because we deal with them, alhamdulillah, in a decent way. And they praise the Muslims. They some good brothers right there. Oh man, that brother right there, when he speaks to you humbly. That brother right there is one of the best people I know. So if I don't free myself from that, that means now I'm in line with this disbelieving neighborhood. I'm in line with the disbelieving neighbors. I'm in line with the disbeliever that's praised me now because I didn't free myself from his praise. When does that stop? That principle that he's introducing that's not from the Sharia. When does that principle? When does it stop? And who is it used on? And when is it used? Because it can get out of control. Because how do you use that principle?
No. So he continues. He said this went to the people's mind again. That Tahir such Farrakhan, but Mustafa George hid the fact and went against the ijma' of the ulama who say, "Anna sakuta la yu'iddu ridda." Allahu Akbar. Look what the ulama say, other than what Mustafa George say. Look what the ulama they have said. The silence about a thing doesn't mean a person is pleased with it. The silence about a thing doesn't mean that the person is pleased with it. And to be honest, brothers and sisters, Tahir Wyatt wasn't silent. When he got back to Medina, he written and explained his talk in 4 parts. Mm-hmm. He explained what he called them to, what he invited them to, that he called them to Allah, that he called them to understanding the Sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he broke down some other areas that he explained. You can refer back to Medina.com to that. So he did respond. Okay, Tayyib. The silence about a thing doesn't mean a person is pleased with it. Remember this. So where has Mustafa George found this principle again? That anna sakut ya'iddu rida wa yadula ala mawafiqa. This principle that he has, meaning that a person's silence indicates he is pleased with it and agrees with it. Where did he get this from? Because if it's ijma' amongst the scholars, that sukut, silence, doesn't mean you are pleased. If that's the case, the Prophet ﷺ would have made it clear. Okay? The Prophet ﷺ made it clear when he said if a Jew or a Christian come to you and they say something to you, he said do not reject it or accept it, because perhaps if you reject it, you rejected something that is the truth. And perhaps if you accept it, you are doing what?
Exactly.
You are accepting something that is not the truth.
Not the truth.
So it's best in this case not to say anything.
So if it's not, from what we're reading, if it's not a principle of the Salaf, it's not a principle in the Sharia, that means that it's something that's introduced, what we call innovated. And we're not saying that, obviously the brother's not an innovator. We don't put them hookers on people. That's not our job. But that action, that principle that he's using is not found in the Sunnah. It's not found in Islam. So it's innovated. It's innovated. It's not true. It's a lie. And we're not saying he's an innovator. We're saying that the principle can't be found in the Sharia.
Well, we're going to do this. We're going to do, unlike our beloved brothers themselves, we're not even going to use the term innovated at all. What we're going to use is the fact that we're going to shoot him some bell, like we wish he would have done for Shaykh Tahir and for Shadid himself. We're going to put the best spin on it. We're going to say that in his hastiness to correct a wrong that he perceived that was wrong, okay, that he might have not came across this information. Okay, that's how we're gonna word it, for sake of best. Now we're gonna bring something to you. Okay, now we're gonna bring something to you, and this does. I want you to understand something, because the Prophet ﷺ was given something that many of us need to know. He was given what is called Jawami al-Kalam, laconic speech, and you don't really need to be, a rocket science or anything like that. You can just speak what the Prophet ﷺ said. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Al-Muslim akhul Muslim." Why is we bringing this point up here? Because what entails to this? The Prophet ﷺ mentioned a list of negative character traits or negative characteristics that you should not have with one another as brothers and sisters. Then he mentioned on the flip side that a Muslim is a brother to another Muslim. So Mustafa George, there are rights that come along with being a Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned in another narration that there are 6, and we talked about that. So then, this is like the statement of Allah Azza wa Jalla when he said what? إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً, that the believers are only brothers. Where's I'm going at with this? If the brothers themselves have really believed in, not say believe, but I don't use that word, have really took heed to the commands and the advice of the Prophet ﷺ, they would have approached Tahir as a brother. Because he's Muslim, number one. Because he believed in Allah. Farrakhan praise did not remove that. Farrakhan praise did not remove the fact that he believed in Allah. Because if they say he doesn't believe in Allah, then he what? They have now said he's a kafir. But Mustafa George didn't say that. Farrakhan also, his praise did not remove the fact that he believed in Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So if he believed in Allah and he believed in Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what do that mean he is?
He's a Muslim.
He's a Muslim. Now if he a Muslim, what's supposed to happen? There's certain rules and regulations how you handle and behave with a Muslim.
Exactly.
You do not get up there like the brothers have been doing year after year. And we showed y'all this. The brothers has been getting up there saying things about people in a hasty manner that are, if it wasn't evidence, is slander.
Yep.
If it have no evidence to it and they have not said it or done it, it is called slander. What did the Prophet ﷺ say? He said, "Dhikruka," to mention something about your brother, "Akhuka, ma la yuhib," or ma la, that which you do not like. Then what have you do? You have backbitten him. Meaning you made ghibah.
Eating his flesh.
And he said, but to mention something about your brother that isn't true, then you have made buhtan. You have slandered him. Again.
And another thing too, now you're not saying that he's a mubtadi', an innovator. Then he has certain rights that Ahlul Sunnah have over you. Because you're not putting the ruling that he's an innovator, right? Our brother Mustafa George, may Allah preserve, didn't say that. So not only does he have the right of a Muslim, right? He has the right of somebody from Ahlul Sunnah, and then he has the right of somebody being from your land.
Now, there are rules in ahkam even for that. It's rules the way that you treat your neighbor. It's rules in the way that you treat your brother. It's rules that when you're refuting or giving advice to Ahlul Sunnah versus giving advice to those who are not Ahlul Sunnah.
Exactly.
There are rules and regulations for that. So, oh Mustafa George, why didn't you take all of this into account when you have gave your criticism? Why haven't you took all of this into account? Let's go back to what the Prophet said. This is the best speech. Besides that and Allah and the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As the Prophet ﷺ said countless times in Qutb al-Tahajjud. What did he say? فَأَنَّ خَيْرَ الْحَدِيثِ Kalam Allah. The best speech is that of the Book of Allah, or the speech of Allah. And the best guidance,
The guidance of Muhammad sallallahu
is the guidance of Muhammad, which shows us that you can't understand the speech of Allah without the guidance of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahu Akbar. So look what he said. He said, "La yadlimuhu." The Muslim is a brother of another Muslim. The first thing he does not do, and he must make sure he doesn't do, is oppress his brother. Let's look what Shaykh Fawzan say. Number one, oppression, brothers and sisters, is to place something of it in its rightful place. Okay? And it don't matter what type of oppression it is to place something not in its rightful place. So, ظَلَمٌ فِي النَّفْسِ أَوْ وِالْمَالِ الْإِرُقِ. So you can cause oppression to a person in his what?
His person.
His person.
His
I mean his personality. Meaning physically you can cause oppression. Or you can cause oppression in his wealth. And you can cause oppression in his honor. What did Mustafa George just trample upon? If we say, in terms, because now he's want us to believe that our brother Shaykh Tahir Wyatt, حفظه الله, has somehow aligned his Aqidah with the Aqidah of Farrakhan.
A disbelieving Aqidah.
وَلِيَعْذُ بِاللَّهِ.
So that leads to end up making takfir of the Shaykh at some point.
If we go that far.
Yeah.
He wants us to believe that somehow we're not going to place kufr on our brother. But what we are going to do is we're going to say that our brother should not, no knowledge should be taken from him. He sympathized with the people of kufr. He sympathized with the people of innovation, and that we see time and time again that these is how these brothers move. This is what he's implying by saying that. So look what he goes on to say, because our brother going to read some. I'm going to read some, inshallah, not to hold you too long. He said, وَلَا يَخْذُلُهُ. Look what the Prophet ﷺ said. He said he doesn't do what?
Doesn't humiliate him.
He doesn't humiliate him. How do you think our brother feel right now, Shaykh Tahir Wyatt? Okay, we're not saying that he's paying attention or, but how would he feel? How would his family members feel? How do those who know him, those who do not know him but heard of him, the good and stuff like that, as Muslims, how will we feel when you tarnish a person honor and you humiliate him and you make us perceive that he's a what?
No.
A person upon
Why
them.
didn't you just call him and ask him about the praise of Farrakhan? I'm sure he would have answered it. It was simple as that. Call him.
And this is what's most amazing. And it seemed to be a pattern with these brothers. They will be right in the vicinity or in close proximity to the person that they are refuting. And they won't say nothing to him. This is what we saw in the interview with Shadid. This is what we saw what happened with Muhammad Munir's interview. This is what we saw with Ukasha. This is what we saw with many other people interview Ali Davis. They will be in the same vicinity and will not say nothing to you. Where's the rujula?
None.
Where's the understanding that we are Muslims? At the very least, I would say to a brother, if I have a problem with Isa and I see him doing something, likewise, if he see me doing something, at the very least, for his love, for the sake of Allah, for me, he would say, brother, I don't consider that to be correct. Do you have any evidence for that? Okay, this is what I came across. What did you come across?
Exactly.
Why? Because there's no hidden agendas. There's no ulterior motive. But these brothers, like Mustafa George, is in Riyadh. He's in Riyadh. He goes to attend Sheikh Fawzan lectures. His classes.
I'm bring you a point before we start reading. This beautiful point that a brother brought to me one time, right? And he watched one of our videos. And I said to Nafis, I said, this is my best friend, my companion, my best friend. And we were talking about the issue of Tawhuk that came up. Me and the brother was talking about it. And obviously me and Abu Zayd have some ikhtilaf in that some of the principles, or some of the issues pertaining to that, right? And me and the brother was talking about, he said, that's deep, man. He said, and I said, so we had debates and everything. And the brother said, and you still call me your best friend and your companion. I said, of course, huh? That difference is, because you know why? Because their scholars got both positions. So he took the position of some scholars, I took the position of other scholars. At the end of the day, guess what? It's still my brother, because those positions are known to Ahl Sunnah. And that ikhtilaf doesn't make us not brothers. That's Islam.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. But now and again, if that's not the case, they do it amongst themselves. That they do. That what you witness him saying, when it comes to their own friends and it comes to their own brothers, they make all excuses in the world. Like they somehow all have made an agreement that no matter who criticizes Abu Khadija, we're not going to accept that criticism. It don't matter if it comes at the highest of chain. We're not going to accept it. And they made that an agreement amongst themselves.
No, exactly.
And they accept that. And when it comes to Tahir Wyatt, when it comes to Muhammad Munir, and when it comes to these other brothers or other communities like Naeem Abu Abdullah, like some of the brothers that study in Yemen, some of the brothers that study in Egypt, that's not a part of these individuals, they don't shoot them no bell.
And I get another example, a real life example. Sometimes we get phone calls from people and they call Abdul Wali a rapist and they say, oh, he raped his stepdaughter. I stop them right in their tracks. You need 4 witnesses. You wasn't there. So far as I'm concerned right now, you're backbiting it, brother. And now, I'm not defending them, but justice is justice. And Islamic Sharia is Islamic Sharia. And at the end of the day, it applies to everybody. And no matter if you got a beef with them, no matter if you don't like them or not, it applies to everybody.
But that don't mean we agree with the way that the brothers dealt with it.
No, it doesn't.
The brothers should have dealt with it if they had knowledge. They should have dealt with it in a better manner than the way that they dealt with it. So that don't mean we're in agreement with how they handle the situation. But again, the Shaykh continues. He said he does not humiliate him. إِذَا رَآهُ يُهَانْ فَإِنَّهُ يَنْصُرُهُ وَيَمْنَعُ الْخُذْلَانَ عَنْهُ. If he saw and he witnessed that his brother is being disgraced, he's being humiliated, then what would he do? He would aid him. He would support him. And he will what? He will prevent this humiliation from his brother. Sort of like what we're doing now. Shaykh Tahir Wyatt has not called us at all.
Nope.
He has not emailed us. He has not texted us. He has not given his consent, whether he's for what we're doing or against it. But because he's our brother in Islam, and because Mustafa George is our brother in Islam, and we see what's going on, we have took it upon ourselves to do what? Hold up the honor of our brother, like Sheikh Fawzan is saying here. Look what he goes on and continues.
Stop the oppression of the other.
He said, وَيُؤَيِّدُهُ وَلَا يَتْرُكُهُ لِلْأَعْدَاءِ. He said he aids him. He gives him that support, and he does not abandon him to his enemies. He does not leave him alone to his enemies. He said, وَإِذَا رَأَى أَحَدًا يَتَكَلَّمُ فِيهِ فِي الْمَجَالِسِ فَإِنَّهُ يُدَافِعُ عَنْهُ. And if he sees someone or witness someone speaking about him in an ill manner, and a gathering, or like in this recording we just heard, like this audio we just heard, what does he do? He comes to his defense.
He comes to his defense.
He defends him. Sheikh Fawzan continues. لِأَنَّهُ إِذَا تَرَكَهُ وَسَكَتَ أَنْ كَانَ ذَلِكَ مِنَ خُذْلَانٍ. Look what he said. Now, you want to talk about silence, Mustafa George? You want to talk about when silence is not praiseworthy, Mustafa George? You want to talk about when silence are blameworthy, Mustafa George? Listen what Sheikh Fawzan said. He said, because if he leaves and abandon him, and he remains silent, then that leaving and abandoning him and remaining silent will be from humiliating him. Now you have joined in the humiliation.
Exactly.
Allahu Akbar. Because you remain silent in the defense of truth.
SubhanAllah.
You have remained silent in defense of honoring your brother.
And also, we're also being a brother to our brother Mustafa George, because we're actually trying to prevent his oppression.
That's about to come. It's leading up to it. He said, فَإِذَا رَأَيْتَ أَخَاكَ يُظْلَمُ فَإِنَّكَ تُنَاصِرُهُ وَتَمْنَعُ عَنْهُ الظُّلْمِ بِأَيِّ نَوْرٍ. Allahu Akbar. He said, so if he see him, he witness his brother being oppressed, then it's upon him to come to his aid and to prevent this oppression from him, no matter what type of oppression it is. Correct?
No.
He said, because the Prophet ﷺ said, "Unsur akaka zaliman aw madluman." This is the hadith that we have been mentioning. The Prophet ﷺ said, aid your brother when he's the oppressor or the oppressed. And in this situation or scenario, Mustafa George have took the role of zalim, of the oppressor, and Shaykh Tahir Wyatt is of the role of what? The madlum, the oppressed. فَقَالَ رَجُلٌ. So a man from amongst the companions, he said, Ya Rasulullah, O Messenger of Allah, أَنْصُرْهُ إِذَا كَانَ مَدْلُومًا. We understand if we aid him. If I aid him while he's being oppressed, that's understandable. أَفَرَأَيْتَ إِذَا كَانَ ظَالِمًا كَيْفَ أَنْصُرُهُ. What do you think about how is it possible for us to support him if he's the oppressor? How can we help him in his oppression? Other words, the Prophet ﷺ said, تَحْجِيزُهُ أَوْ تَمْنَعُهُ مِنَ الظُّلْمِ فَنَذَلِكَ نَصْرُهُ. What do? You subdue him. You what? You stop him.
You stop him.
And you what? You prevent him from this oppression, from oppressing others. Then rather this is aiding him. SubhanAllah. You want to read some more?
No.
He
said, فَلَا تَظْلُمْ أَخَاكَ بِأَنَّ يَسْتُرَ مِنْكَ ظُلْمٍ فِي حَقِّهِ. He said, do not oppress your brother, because at that point that means from you came oppression in the rights of that brother. You have took some out of his proper place and placed it in where it doesn't belong. لَا تَتْرُكُهُ يُظْلِمُ وَأَنْتَ تَقْدِرُ عَلَى دَفْعِ الظُّلْمِ. He said, and do not leave your brother being oppressed when you have the ability to stop the oppression. We have the ability to confront the oppression of Mustafa George to our brother Tahir Wyatt. We have the ability to do that. Then he goes in and he says, دَفَعَ ظُلْمَ عَنْهُ سَوَاءَ كَانَ ظُلْمًا مَالِيًّا أَوْ عَرْضًا أَوْ غَيْرِ ذَلِكَ. No matter if the oppression was in his wealth or in the person's honor. And right now we're dealing with who? The honor of Shaykh Tahir. If somebody did this to Mustafa George and it came to us, we'll do the same thing. We'll defend his honor.
It becomes upon us. But now the problem is, again, these particular brothers, they don't protect no one's honor but their own. And this is what we're trying to say. Some people believe that I've been saying some harsh statements against our brothers. And the truth of the matter is, I have been saying some harsh statements, and the reason why they're harsh is because our brothers have shown us through their actions that we have ran out of excuses for these brothers, that they have organized upon something that is incorrect and that is not what the deen has enjoined upon them. And every time they are confronted to ask about the evidence for what they're doing, they become hostile. They become quarrelsome. They become whereas though they don't answer you. And then they belittle you. And they make it seem like you're insignificant.
Or you're crazy.
Or you're crazy. You out of your mind. You don't take what the scholar said. And you don't listen to what the scholar said. But today or tonight or whatever time, that's not going to happen no more. Because we can understand what the scholars are saying.
Exactly.
And we're going to make it upon ourselves, inshallah, that we explain to the people what the scholars are actually saying and not what the brothers are interpreting what they would like for them to say. But no, we're going to make sure what they're actually saying.
And look at the next point that Shaykh Tahir Wyatt, حفظه الله, brings. لأن أرض أخيك مثل أرضك. He said that verily the honor of your brother is like your honor. And I'll give you another real life example. I remember when some things happened, they put up these videos of Abu Khadija and Hassan Mali with a gun in his hand and a hoodie on and really, being really disrespectful and dishonorable to the brother's honor. We advise brothers to take that stuff down. We're not upon that. My brothers did it on a group I was on. Abu Khadija was dancing with some t-shirt or something on or something like that. I advised the brothers harshly. That's not, I said, now you're attacking the brother's honor. This is not the way of the Salaf. This is not the way of a Muslim. I don't matter if we're right now going back and forth with those brothers, or right now they're not liking us, or right now they may have hatred for us, or right now they may say ill things about us. But at the end of the day, this right doesn't change because they don't like me.
Naam. And also, what does this say to you, brothers and sisters? This reminds us of another hadith. He said, لِأَنَّ إِرْضَ أَخِيكَ مِثْلُ إِرْضِكَ. He said, because his ird, his honor, the honor of your brother is like your honor. This reminds me of the hadith of the khadima, the servant of the Prophet ﷺ, where he said what? لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. That none of you would truly believe until he loved for his brother what he loved for himself.
Exactly.
So where was these narrations when brother Mustafa George decided to get up there and give what he considered to be advice to a group of brothers about Shadid and Shaykh Tahir Wyatt? Where was his thinking of these narrations and preserving the honor? How would he feel about individuals saying this?
Because they only apply when it's inside a particular cult or group of people. It only applies then. Because the rules only apply to people that's part of the in crowd and the gang. But the rules apply to everybody. From the layman, from the store owner, from the bus driver, from the train driver, from the airplane driver, from the one who's riding a donkey, from the one who's a farmer, from the student of knowledge to the scholar. These rules apply to every single Muslim on the face of the earth.
He said, وَلَا يَكْذِبُهُ لَا تَكْذِبْ عَلَيْهِ فِي الْمُعَامَلَةِ وَلَا تَكْذِبْ عَلَيْهِ فِي الْحَدِيثِ فَتَكُونْ صَادِقًا مَعَ أَخِيكَ كَمَا أَنَّكَ تُحِبُّ أَنْ يَصْدُقَ لَكَ. So he said he doesn't lie on him. Brothers and sisters, Abu Khadija and his co and his friends, as we have shown, and they will not respond throughout all of their criticism, they have been lying on each person that they're said about. Each person that they have criticized, that they came up with and criticized from amongst their brothers, they have been lying on them. Again, he said he does not lie on his brother when he do interactions, when he interact with his brother. He don't lie in transactions, nor does he lie against him in speech. He don't tell him a lie. So he said, فَلْتَكُونْ صَادِقًا. So you should be truthful with your brothers, just as they are. Just as أَنَّكَ تُحِبُّ, just like you like for them to be truthful with you. You like for someone to be truthful with you.
Exactly.
So why would you be truthful to your brothers?
If somebody lied on you right now, everybody, I can't believe they lied on me. I'm going to say something to them. But then you lie on everybody else, though.
SubhanAllah.
Because the proof that you lied, we ask you for your evidence and your proof, which in Islam, it becomes an obligation upon you because I asked you, because you have to tell me now, because it's upon you now, it's an obligation upon you to prove it. So you didn't have a reason for the jar, the refutation. You didn't show any proof for it. And according to the Quran, Allah did the same thing to the Jews and Christians, and the Jews and Christians didn't produce their proof what they were upon, so Allah called them what?
Liars.
So that means that legislatively, You're liars.
Not only on top of that, there are scholars that call Abu Khadija a liar. There are scholars that said that.
Scholars,
because he fell, and they immediately applied this rule, this principle. When they saw that he couldn't produce any evidence, they immediately said, what? He's a liar. Kadhab.
Yeah.
They immediately applied it. We took the time to say, you know what? We're not even going to call him that, even though he have not produced his proof.
Yeah.
We're going to give them time to respond. And look what they did. They did what the Prophet ﷺ get ready to say next. When they said unknowns. What did they say?
Unknown.
He said unknown. This is what they did.
Or
Pay attention.
Foolish and things like
the
that.
Prophet ﷺ said, وَلَا يَحْكِرُهُ. He doesn't belittle his brother.
He doesn't belittle his brother.
Allahu Akbar. He doesn't belittle his brother. Look at the mannerism. He doesn't belittle him. Look what Shaykh Fawzan said. لا تقلل من شأنه. He doesn't belittle him in anything regarding him. Not that he's unknown. Not that he's an imbecile. Not that he's not noteworthy. Not what he's not this.
Or barking dogs circling
or barking
the wagon.
dogs howling. They don't do this. La.
Or that we're going to interview Iblis and going to tell us what happened in Jannah.
Look what the Shaykh said next. And look his reason why they don't do this. He said, لِأَنَّ الْمُسْلِمَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ عَظِيمٌ. Allahu Akbar. He said, because that Muslim that you're sitting there belittling, he is in the sight of Allah magnificent. He is great. Allahu Akbar.
Subhanallah.
So how? I remember our elder Abu Uwais, rahmatullah ta'ala alayhi, may Allah make his grave spacious. I remember when he was saying about this hadith, and he got to the point where he said, وَلَا يَقْدُلُهُ, right? And he said it like 3 times. And then he said, how can a believer, right? How can a believer disgrace or humiliate his brother? How can you humiliate a believer? This is what our elder Shaykh Abu Uwais, rahmatullah alayhi, said. He said, how can you disgrace or hate a believer? Someone who say they believe in Allah. Someone who say they believe in Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Someone who say they believe in the Sahabas. Someone who say they believe in all of the attributes that are befitting to Allah. Someone they say that they believe Allah rises above the throne that is befitting to Him. Someone they say that they believe in the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and all of the miracles that Allah granted him. Someone who say that they believe in all of the 3 generations in the A'imma the Salaf. They believe in the Quran from front to back. No subtractions, no additions. They believe in all of it the way that it came down. They don't make no any whistling. How can you? These are people who believe in Salat, who believe in Wudu, who believe in all of these things. And that they sit there and they believe in the salams. That if you extend the salam, like the Prophet ﷺ said, you get 10 rewards. And if you return back with a greeting better than that, you get 10 more added to it, make 20 hasanat. They believe in these things. That they smile when they see their brother. Kaif, how can you hate someone like that? How can you belittle someone like that?
And when they say in return, they said this is a library of people of innovation. They call us people of innovation. It's a library of people of innovation of jahiliyyah. Not only did you call us innovators, but now you made some type of takfir on us too when you said it's a library of jahiliyyah. Because the only thing that's in jahiliyyah is disbelief.
Disbelief.
This is what was said.
Subhanallah. But how can you do that? The Shaykh continues. وَإِنْ كَانَ لَيْسَ لَهُ مَظْهَرٌ أَوْ لَيْسَ لَهُ مَالٌ أو ليس له جاه ما دام أنه مؤمن فهو عظيم عند الله سبحان الله. Subhanallah, look at this. The Shaykh said, he is great in the eyes of Allah, even if it be the case that he's not what? Victorious.
No.
He's not someone known. Madha. Our brother said they are unknown, so we don't have to respond. But Allah, here Shaykh Fawzan said what? Even if he's not known, Allahu Akbar.
Yeah.
Even if he's not known, even if he doesn't have wealth,
he's not
a wealth. He don't have wealth. He's not wealthy. Nor did he have
a position
or a reputation. No one know who he is. Subhanallah al-Azim.
But he's asking
But Allah know who he is.
He's asking you
Subhanallah.
for proof and to answer his questions, and you say he's unknown, he's nobody, he's barking dogs. Is that the reply of a believer to another believer? Allahu Akbar.
The Shaykh said, مَا دَامَ أَنَهُ مُؤْمِن. As long as he is a believer, guess what? فَهُوَ عَظِيمُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ. He is great with the eyes of Allah. And that's what all that matters. Look what the companion Utbah ibn Ghazwa, I like to always mention this narration. I'm trying not to get emotional in this narration. I'm not even going to mention the whole thing. But when he came back and he was made governor of a city, this is a campaign. Look what he said. He said, I seek refuge in Allah for thinking of myself to be great when I am insignificant in comparison, okay, with my Lord. I am insignificant, meaning that if I have pride in myself that I'm on this level, when in reality I'm not even on that level because I don't know where I stand at with my Lord, he started crying. This is the understanding of the Sahabas. These are the people that we swear up and down, the Salaf, the Salaf, the Salaf. Wallahi, we don't even know their biographies. We don't know their biographies. It's impossible for a person to read the biographies of the Salaf and really get in and submerge himself into it and not be affected by it in his character, not affected by it in his speech. You know why? What's my proof? The people of Hadith, the scholars of Hadith, they are the more closest and the one who love the messenger and the companions the most.
And the funny part is too is that just to bring it home, I like bringing real life examples. If you down a brother, I mean, you know how you know that you're not the one down in front of Allah? How do you know that? How do you know that all the evil and munkar and evil actions you have committed have not belittled you in front of your Lord? And the one you deem to belittle is the one that's a theme in front of Allah, that's mighty and great in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ask yourself that. Because it seems that people, they like to belittle others that rise themselves up. And like, for example, let's go here before we close. Like people like to use the word Ikhwani. I'm going to start that off. People like to use the word Ikhwani. I lived in Egypt, which is the Ikhwani capital of the earth. Right? It's the Ikhwani capital of the earth. I'm going to bring you two things. And my teacher, Sheikh Mahmoud Luthi Amr, those who want to know who my teacher is, his name is Sheikh Mahmoud Luthi Amr. He's a student of Shaykh Rabi', and I've benefited from the Sheikh for 8 years. Alhamdulillah, he's like my father. May Allah preserve him and all our scholars. Ameen.
Ameen.
The thing is that it's two things. When the revolution happened, when the Khuruj and the rebellion happened against the Egyptian government, and the scholars of the Sunnah refuted it, the only people who we seen screaming the Dawah to Salafiyya, putting on their masjids, hanging banners down, was the Hizbiyun and the Haddadiyun. They were the only ones doing it. Sheikh Raslan didn't do it. Sheikh Mahmoud Ahmad didn't do it. Sheikh Hassan al-Banna didn't do it. Sheikh Khalid Uthman didn't do it. Sheikh Talha Zahran didn't do it. None of them. Sheikh Muhammad Libby didn't do it. None of them had banners on their masjids or started a hizb and called it Hizbul Nur or Hizbul Salafiyya to enter into politics. None of them did it. That's the first thing. So this thing of screaming Salafiyya all the time and posting it everywhere, that's the sign of Hizbiyya. Because in Egypt, that was a sign. That was a signpost that the scholars of the Sunnah in Egypt used to call out a Hizbi. Not saying there was anything wrong with the word Salafiyya, but using it in that manner, that was a proof that he was upon Hizbiyya. That's the first thing. The second thing, when people like Hassan Somali, may Allah preserve him, he took a picture of his classes in Germantown. They marked the faces out, but they took a camera picture of how many people was in his class. Number one, who from the Salaf preceded you in that act? And that I heard one of the Salaf, when too many people came to his class, he closed the book up.
No, when it became 3 people in his class, he closed the book up and left.
Closed the book up and left, right?
Why? But why though? Because he was trying to safeguard his class.
Exactly. So then, let's continue. Because then you're going to bring some proof of what I'm saying. Let's continue. The number game. Who was the only ones in Egypt playing the number game? The Ikhwan. They weren't even saying, look how great our numbers are. Look how beautiful our masjids are. Look how many people came to our class. They were the only ones to talk like that. The scholars of the Sunnah talk like that. Sheikh Raslan, I did daughter Nadid there. Akhid Hassan wa Jama'ah Sheikh Uthaymeen there. And sometimes it was 20 people in the class. Sometimes it was 30. Sometimes it was 10. The Sheikh never mentioned how many people was in his class. He never wanted to be praised for it. It could have been 1. The Sheikh still would have been there. It is this idea of showing how many people was in a class. This is an Ikhwani move. And I'm not calling it brother. Obviously, our brother Hassan, we're not calling him Ikhwani because we don't put hukum on people. But the reality is, that's an Ikhwani act. That's an act that the Ikhwan do when they keep praising numbers. Look how many people's with us. Look at the renovations of our masjids.
But in reality, that is a smoke screen. You got to look at the agenda now. The agenda for doing that, brothers and sisters, I don't believe that the brothers are doing it because they're trying to imitate the Ikhwan, even though that's what they are in reality doing. But I don't believe that's their intent.
Exactly.
I believe it's a smoke screen. It's to say that you guys that are taking shots at us, that are proving to the world that our criticism is not true, and that they have holes in it, and that they are not sustainable. You guys that are doing that, look, we're not affected. Our numbers are still growing. Look, we're not affected. Our masjids are still being renovated. Henceforth, Jamil Finch, if you look at his response to Ali Davis, he said, alhamdulillah, as for us, our masjids are renovated. These are the things that they say as a smokescreen to make you and I believe that no one is being affected. But guess what? You and I know that questioners are listening in. You and I know that there are people that are asking them questions because they are affected. You got people now, wallahi, we see the responses. They are attacking the common folks. They are getting on there saying that first it was fitna. Look at the statement they said. It was fitna, right? When it was fitna, we were saying, the people, why are you trying to cover it up? Save the ummah. Where's our men? They was talking about the Wali Nelson, that Hassan, all of this issue when the allegations came out. They were saying that the commoners were mad about the Wali Nelson thing, which they had a right to do so. They felt that the brothers covered it up. So now the followers up there, they was actually enraged. So they say, where's our men at? Save our ummah. Why nobody's speaking up against it? Then they try to attack them by saying, when the misguided, talking about us and the people that we interviewed, start attacking us, meaning the brothers, like Somali and them. Now they calling us attacking them. But, like Somali and them, they started saying, now y'all saying statements like, it's too much fitna. I'm not taking no sides. I just don't know. I'm this. Why you think that a person will put that up there? Why would you start attacking the common folks like Abu Khadija did when Sheikh Salih Suhaimi came up the Green Lane? When the sheikhs would come up the Green Lane, what would he say? Yeah. Every year, a piece of the corner of the masjid is going up. We're going up the road. This is recorded. Yeah. Y'all going up the road because the sheikh is coming. Y'all going up the road because the sheikh is coming. Who would get mad that people are going to go see the shuyukh?
And that's the thing, right? What's the proof against the principle of numbers? It's going to be a prophet that come on Yom Kippur when nobody followed him, but his da'wah was still successful. Success is not numbered. Success is not numbered by numbers. It's by implementing the sunnah and being upright and just. That's success, no matter if nobody ever listened to you. And also, our brother Hassan Mali contradicted himself. When did he contradict himself about taking the pictures of the numbers?
He contradicted himself because all of you who attend the Eid on Ramadan up there in Chalmers, remember when he forbade the people to take a picture of the Eid prayer and to even spread it around, because somebody posted it up on social media when they was told by Hassan Somali not to do so. So in that case, Somali was doing the right thing. I agree with him in that he did not want to take a picture of an act of ibadah. And seeking knowledge, by the way, having a class and showing how many people attend, that's an act of ibadah. All the scholars are of the agreement that talabul ilm is an act of ibadah. It's an act of worship. No. So on top of that, to take a picture and tell people not to do it of their Eid, and then turn right back around and take a picture of a class and post it like, look, our numbers are still growing. What's up with the contradiction?
Yeah.
But why is he contradicting himself? Because again,
it's an agenda.
No, because he felt the pressure. He felt the pressure. The pressure is on him. People are starting to wake up. People who have been slandered against are starting to revive themselves and come out. Subhanallah al-Azim. And it's going to keep growing. We didn't start this. Me and the brother didn't wake up one day and said, you know what? We're going to start going at the brothers. That didn't happen like that. We didn't put acceptance in the hearts of the people to make them say, you know what? These brothers are on point in what they're saying. There have been people way before us that have been refuting them and have not stopped refuting these brothers and the principle that they was doing. Like our brother Abu Aliyah. Like our brother who brought a light, one of Sheikh Wasil al-Abbas students, Fareeq Post. Like many of the other people with the missing links. Like many of the other people that was going against them. Like Idris Palmer and them. Like any other individuals that was going against Salafi Pub.
The Salafi coat in the West.
The Salafi coat in the West and things like that. They was going at them already. However, the reality came is that all of us are tired. And we're tired of them disrespecting the scholars. We're tired of them disrespecting their brothers. And we're tired of them pitting people out of the fold of Islam and misapplying principles. So we're going to go back now, and we're going to finish this, inshallah. Look what the Shaykh said, because he's still on this point about being magnificent in the sight of Allah. Wow. It's not about having status. It's not about being known. It's not about having wealth. It's not about having strength. He said the consideration is given to the Iman. Now let's go back again. Why do you think Allah Jalla wa'ala said about the Jews? Balil yuzakkuna anfusahum. Rather they do what? They purify themselves. Why do you think Allah said in the Quran? فَلَا تُزَكِّي. Do not purify yourself. هُوَ أَعْلَمُ بِمَنِ اتَّقَى. Indeed Allah knows who what? The one who fears Him the most. Why do you think Allah also said in the verse that mentioned that mankind come from a man and a woman and He made you in tribes and the nations? Allah said what? إِنَّ أَتْقَاكُمْ أَكْرَمَكُمْ. He said إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ. The most noble you, the most honor of you in the sight of Allah is the one who fear Allah the most. Look what the Shaykh saying here. The consideration is given to the Iman.
Exactly.
What the Shaykh Fawzan said when he was asked about naming yourself Salafi, meaning not following the Salaf, not implementing the Salaf, but taking the title saying, I'm so-and-so as Salafi. He said, leave that off.
Shaykh Fawzan said, leave it off.
Why? He said, because the consideration is given to the actual haqa'iq, the realities, and not in the name.
Not in the name.
Allahu Akbar.
Because I mean, there's a lot of people that call themselves Salafi in Egypt. They was Khawarij.
Subhanallah.
They said they had the Dawud Salafi on their masjid, but they were known to rebel against the government. Because the principles of Salafi are three. We worship Allah alone without partners. We hear and obey those in authority, not those in authority, the kings and president of the Muslim lands, not the Imam of the masjid, not the Imam of some clique or some cult. No. The principles of Salafi are we worship Allah alone, we hear and obey the Muslim authority, even if they oppressors, and we warn against bid'ah and its people. These are the three foundational principles of Salafiyya. So the issue is that those people in Egypt who called themselves Salafi went against the second principle. So they left the understanding of the Salaf. So people may use the name Salafi, but at the same time, when the protesting happened, they was out there fighting against the cops in the military.
But then again, a lot of the ulama did not put them outside of the fold of Ahlul Sunnah. They just said that they deviated in some of the areas of going against those principles, because the ulama still use hikmah, brothers and sisters, and they don't place hukum just randomly just because a person don't agree with them. This is very important. Sheikh Muqbil, he said that if you find a people who want you to agree with them 100%, not 99%, not 98%, not 70%, they must agree with them 100%. He said that this is his biyah. Our beloved brothers, over the years, they do not welcome anyone into they fold, anyone amongst them, unless you agree with them 100%. You cannot go against Abu Khadija. You cannot go against Abu Hassan Malik. You cannot go against Hassan Somali. You cannot go against Bilal Davis. These four you cannot go against. If you go against any of them, meaning you don't agree with them, you bring proof and opposition to what they're upon, even if you show that it's clear evidence, they are going to get rid of you. We no longer need you teaching up here. We no longer agree with you. And if you persist, we're going to warn against you. This has been their way. We're going to put out a refutation against you, and we're going to turn the people away from you. Subhanallah al-Azim. Brothers and sisters, these brothers are skilled. And when I say skilled, they have perfected the craft of controlling the minds of those weak individuals who cannot think for themselves, who refuse to think for themselves. They have allowed them to come over. This is why Shaykh Muqbil, rahmatullah alayhi, he said a statement. In the land of the blind, every one-eyed person is a scholar. Wallahi al-Azim, just think about it. You come home, you come to a land, they embracing you, they're hanging on your every word. You don't have to bring a hadith. You can even quote the hadith wrong. Hoping somebody in there don't know Arabic or know the hadith. You can quote the ayat wrong. Like we heard our brother Mustafa George. He didn't say the ayat right. وَلَا تَبَرُّجْنَا. Huh? He didn't say the ayat right. Huh? تَبَرُّجَ what? تَبَرُّجَتِ الْأُولَى. Right? جَاهِلِيَّةِ الْأُولَى. وَلَا تَبَرُّجْنَا. تَبَرُّجَتِ what? جَاهِلِيَّةِ الْأُولَى. He didn't bring the Nun Niswa. But that don't mean we say we don't take what he was trying to bring. But if someone know Arabic, like myself, I was in Hamza Abdul Razak class This is no lie. And I sat in his class and he was doing Kitab al-Tawheed. He was the Imam al-Hadith. And he was reading from Qawl al-Mufid, from Shaykh Uthaymeen explanation. I had a copy of the book. And I was there just reading, trying to get some benefit, seeing if he translated something that said that I didn't know, that I put it in there with a paper. I was not even asking any questions. I wasn't contending with him or anything. Beloved brother next to me, he saw that, and then the word got out. The brother Naf is just trying to contend with the students. He's trying to be somebody. Because I had an Arabic version of the book, he's trying to be somebody. And this is how our people think. We allow others to think for us. And now that's why we're in the situation that we're in. Brothers, they have mind control. That's their only game. Dr. York has perfected it. This is why we keep going back to him. Because his fitna, he had a tremendous fitna. Tremendous fitna. Also, do you know Father Devon? Who also had another tremendous fitna. Brothers and sisters, look up a cult. Look up how they work, how they operate. And look at the brothers who defend these brothers. They don't care about your evidence. Here we are quoting Sheikh Fawzan. We are quoting the Prophet ﷺ hadith. Here we are reading it. And y'all listening to it. And you hear it yourself. It's actually been translated.
And all we've been saying is Aisha the line said. Sheikh Ali Madini said. Ibn Umar said. That's all we've been saying in all our videos. Call it Umar. Call it Nabi alayhi salatu. Call it Abu Bakr. Call it Aisha. Call it Aisha. That's it.
But more so, it's like venom.
Yeah.
They don't hear nothing. It's Ahlul Bidah. It's Ahlul Bidah. It's Ahlul. They didn't program them. So you gotta pay attention to that. Okay? Last but not least, look what the Sheikh said at the end of this. He said, فَمُؤْمِنُ قَرِيبٌ مِنَ اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ وَكَرِيمٌ عَلَى اللَّهِ وَهُوَ وَلِيُّ اللَّهِ فَلَا تَحْكِرُ أَخَاكَ مُؤْمِنٍ بِأَن تُقَلَّ مِنْ شَأْنِهِ أَوْ تَقُولَ لَا يَسْتَحِقُّ كَذَا أَوْ هُوَ لَيْسَ بِأَهْلِ لِهَذَا أَوْ تَزْدَرِيهِ بَلْ عَلَيْكَ أَن تَحْتَرِيمَ أَخَاكَ على أي حال كان ولو كان محتكرا في مرأة he said أو في اعتبار الناس فأنت تعظمه. Look at this. Subhanallah al-Azim. He says, so the believer, we're talking about the believer here, the believer, he is close to Allah. He is noble in the sight of Allah. He is the wali, the friend of Allah. And he is not to, he said, فَلَا تَحْكِرُ أَخَاكَ مُؤْمِنٍ. Do not belittle your believing brother. Look what he said. Because you do not belittle him or make him insignificant in anything.
No.
They unknown. Look at this. The barking dogs.
Or Sheikh Yahya as a donkey.
People that want to be famed. You don't do this. He said, why? Nor do you say, La yastahiqu kada. They're not deserving of this. He's not deserving of this.
He's not deserving of a response.
He's not deserving of a response.
Sheikh Salih Fawzan is not saying that.
To challenge us. Look what he said. Or he says, he's not even titled. He's not from those people that can do that. Or what else he said? أو تزدريه بل عليك أن تحترم أخاك على أي حال. Right? على حال كان. He said, rather is upon you to respect your brother in whatever situation you find him, whether he's poor, whether he's ignoble, whether he's poor, whether he's destitute, whether he's someone who got wealth.
And it's funny they don't implement this because a brother told me, one of them seen me, I used to do construction. So they're going to say, he mentioned my name. He said, I seen that guy looking dirty. Is that the way I believe? Talk about another believer?
Hamza Durazaki said, do not take knowledge from Nafis because he don't wear thobes all the times. Sometimes you might catch him in plain clothes. Wallahi, this is what the commenters came back and told me. And I'm saying, subhanAllah, I said, I didn't even know that was a taunting. I didn't even know that was a form of criticism.
Is it wajib to wear thobe?
Allahu Akbar. Going on again. So he says, وَلَوْ كَانَ مُحْتَكَرًا فِي مَرَأَ. He said, even if the case that he be belittled in your eyesight, meaning that the way that you look at him, like he said he got scruffy clothes on, he might look belittled in your eyesight or in the consideration of the people. But guess what? When you see your brother looking like that the people look at him and they look at him as a person who is down and lowly, to you, because he is a believer, you supposed to magnify him. Other words, hold him up. Other words, you supposed to hold him up.
Shoot him some bell.
Shoot him some bell. Don't get mad. We have people criticizing Shadeed Muhammad because he licked his lips. Because he had curly hair. This is not even taught. I don't understand. This might be hasid. And we don't, another man will talk about a man licking his lips. These are type of things that got nothing to do with what he said. And we're not saying again, brothers and sisters, we're not saying again that our brothers from time to time might have saw some things from any of one of their peers. And that those things might have been legitimate, but the way that they went about it and the hook them that they were so quick to place on people was incorrect. And the fact that they did not even go and consult with the people. They didn't consult with the people. They should have consulted with these brothers. They students. Let's crack the books.
I'll give you a real.
But I'm going to tell you why they didn't consult before you start. Abu Hassan Malik, he cannot confront academically. And he's knowledgeable when it comes to English grammar. And among other things, he's knowledgeable. We're not going to take that away. Okay? But when it comes to religious knowledge, time and time again, he cannot confront you academically. Same thing with Hassan Somali. You have to pay attention to this, brothers. And the same thing with Abu Khadija. They cannot confront you head on.
So they hide behind you being a deviant.
Or they hide behind people like Musa Richardson. Or Mustafa George. Or they use pawns like Anwar Wright. Or Jamil Finch. Jamil Finch can't even be Jamil Finch no more. He lost his own identity since the day that he came over here. Subhanallah al-Azim. Jamil Finch got a lot of benefit with him. He can be teaching that which he went to school for.
Actually, he has more right to teach and lead his people than they do because he actually more qualified, Jamil Finch is. But unfortunately, everybody's personality, they got to man up, and he hasn't done that. So this is so this is what Walaikum Salam wa Barakatuh, actually, just to respond back, we don't like responding back to the people thing, but actually what we study.
No, you don't even respond.
You know what I'm saying?
We're not even going to respond to that. You can refer back to a lot of our videos.
We already said where I studied.
Those questions are answered. We're not even going to be paying attention unless it's legitimate questions. We're not dealing with the trolls, but by the permission of Allah. For people who are here and sincerely want to know, you can inbox us. You can either, for example, inbox us or go back to our videos, and these things have been.
We already said where I studied at. Who's my teacher?
So the Shaykh, he said, in reality, at the end of all of this, he said all of these noble characteristics and tremendous characteristics, guess what? If a person had them, guess what they do for the society? They rectify the society. Again, they rectify the society. Brothers and sisters, don't ever get it confused for 1 second. Tawheed is the foundation. And Tawheed is the thing in which allows you to rectify society. But there are sub-branches and there are categories in dealing in Aqidah and Creed. And then there are fiqh, amalat, actions that you have to have. So then you have to know how to weigh between your belief as well as those acts that you are responsible for as an ibadat, as in mu'amalat, transactions, and worship. Where's I'm getting at with this? Our beloved brother Shadeed Muhammad, they keep making a taunting against him, a criticism, and I'm going to shoot him some bell here, and I'm not going to try to, if he's wrong, he's wrong. I don't agree with some of the wordings or some of the statements that our beloved brother have made. I believe that he could have worded it a little bit different. I believe that they should have took him by the hand and really showed him some love in terms of that. But in all actuality, I do not believe in my heart that Shadeed Muhammad believed that Tawheed is not the usul. No. I don't believe that. If I believe that, then I'm going to have to ask him that as a man to prove that. I don't believe that. So you can't paint that picture that I believe in my heart that this man don't believe that Tawheed is the usul.
Well, I'm going to shoot him some bell again, a real life example. When he said he was on things with women who not covered and stuff like that, right? Actually, it was scholars in Egypt who did the same thing, scholars of the Sunnah. And the other scholars didn't refute him for it. Not only they didn't refute him for it, and if they did go talk to him about it, it wasn't out in the open. It wasn't out in the open. Nobody came out in the open and said, this scholar said with this. The scholars that go on television in Muslim countries when the women are not covered. Hassan Mali had the news lady in the masjid. She definitely wasn't covered.
No. So in terms, I don't know what our brother might have believed or intended when he made his statement. I don't know the unknown of anyone's heart. But I do know that the Salaf said, one of them said, if I see my brother standing on a mountain, and if he was to say, I am the Lord the Most High, screaming from the top of his lungs, I'm going to make an excuse for him and say, perhaps it was a slip of the tongue. Perhaps he might have lost his mind right there. Perhaps He don't understand what he's saying. Like Imam Ahmed said about the person who took hadith from him, who was a muhaddith, who said that anyone who says that there are 10 companions that promise Jannah, he is a deviant, a mubtadi'. He said, لَعَلَّهُ جَاهِلٌ. He said, huwa jahil, la'allahu jahil la yadri, is perhaps this individual is ignorant and he don't know what he is saying. He don't know what he's saying. He wouldn't get a clear usul. So no, I don't know what my brother might intend it when he said it. But you know what? I'm not going to go to the far extreme and say that he believed that Tawheed is not the usul or the rectifier. Guess why? Why I'm not going to do that? Because everything I know from my brother is that he take from those sources, first and foremost, Quran, Sunnah, Ijma'. That's how I met him. That's how I understand it. And if that's the case, I got to take him upon his appearance, first and foremost, before I take him off of that. And I believe that over the years, these brothers haven't been doing that. I'll tell you why, brothers and sisters, because the proof is in the pudding. These brothers haven't studied with no scholars. All they did is did what me and you can do if you learn Arabic. Get on the phone right now and build a relationship with a scholar, like Umar Quinn did with Sheikh Zayd. Get on the phone right now, and all you got to do is you learn Arabic and keep calling the Sheikh. Hayakallah Sheikh. Kayfa halik? Ana ismi nafis min Amerika. Uhibak Allah. Inni yani indi su'al ya Sheikh. Kayfa halik yami kayfa ahluka. And all this. Kayfa baladuka. All of this stuff. You can get on the phone, keep saying it. Do it for 6 months. Do it for 8 months. Now, yani innani yani I'm an imam. Ladayya masjid. I have a masjid. I teach the people this. What is your advice, ya Sheikh? What do you tell me this? And then the Sheikh get to know you. He's going to give you general praise. You ask about so-and-so. Yes, he's been calling me for the last 6 months. I know nothing but good from him. Benefit from him. This is what the Sheikh going to say. But can I honestly say that I'm the Sheikh student now? Can I say that I'm the Sheikh student now? These brothers are not the students of any of these scholars they keep parading around.
Nope. But you know what?
They're translators.
The thing is, we're gonna be men. Because the thing is this. I'm going to reply. My teacher is Sheikh Mahmoud Luthri Amr.
Alhamdulillah, you already
a
said
student
that.
of Sheikh Rabi'.
Don't feed into it. You already said that.
No, it's not. I'm not.
Yeah.
Relax.
No.
The thing is that we have to. When people ask, it's a legitimate question. We want them to answer legitimate because we're going to answer it.
Yeah, but they can go back to. They can go back. The reason I'm saying this because they can go back and look.
No.
I don't want anyone to keep saying it. That's not even a point here.
No.
We got to get past this understanding that do you need to have a teacher to give advice? Do you need to have a teacher to do this? Everything that we're doing right now, we already proved that in another video.
No.
The Prophet ﷺ made it clear. Ballighu anni wala ayat.
Without a teacher.
Without a teacher. He said, convey for me even if it's one ayat. We went over all of these things. There's no need to keep validating that. No, I don't need a sheikh in front of me and say that I took one. I don't need that. The Prophet ﷺ told me to convey on his behalf anything that I heard. As the Prophet ﷺ said what? He said, نَضَّرَ اللَّهُ مَنْ سَمَعَ مَقَالَتِي. May Allah enlighten the face of the person who hear my speech. And he carries and he transmitted the same way he heard it. That's how we understand things. So we're not gonna feed into that stuff.
No.
Who is your teacher? Because again, Shaykh Salih Ali Shaykh, and I'm gonna leave this out here. I'm trying to finish. Shaykh Salih Ali Shaykh, he said that people ask questions for 2 reasons, and people don't know the mannerism or the etiquette of asking questions. There are 2 reasons of asking questions. There's one reason that it is praiseworthy, and then there's another reason where it's madmoom, is unpraiseworthy. All right, when it's unpraiseworthy is when a person is asking you a question to feed an agenda. Okay, a question that if he knows that he's asking you that builds or leads you to something else, he already taken a position different from that. But he's asking you that question. That's the ones we're not worrying about. The questions we're worrying about is those legitimate questions that are based upon love. And you can tell that the way that they're going to be asked and the way that the person is going to address you. That's the ones we're worrying about. So inshallah ta'ala, hopefully we establish in this night show tonight is that our beloved brother Mustafa George, we believe that he have oppressed and he have felt into a hasty decision of making a principle. And that principle, brothers and sisters, is what? That if you remain silent when a non-believer praises you, that your silence is a form of approval of that which that person is upon. Okay? No. And we already showed you that this is false. This is false, brothers and sisters. And we ask Mustafa George, rectify your situation. Get back on the air again. Make another audio. Apologize to Shaykh Tahir. Apologize to Shadeed. And call them up like men. And stay off of Twitter. like the Grand Mufti told you, and stop putting it in the common people's hands and then turn around calling me and him the fitna makers because we're making these videos? No, you brought the common people into this. We didn't bring them into this. We're just a reaction to your problem. SubhanAllah al-Azim.
Barakallahu feek.
Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Ameen.